Ma'am, I have done the homework.
Good. Very good. Any doubt?
Ma'am, I have also done.
Yes. Any doubt?
Ma'am, I can't hear you.
Any doubt?
Ma'am,
Did you complete?
no.
Ma'am, even I have done.
Ma'am, your voice is not clear.
Not clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Now are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have started the second chapter, right? Atomic structure. And we have discussed.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
My voice is breaking. Okay. See, in this chapter, we have discussed that the Dalton's atomic theory, in which Dalton postulated that atom is the smallest particle. Okay. And atom is not divisible. It is indivisible.
Indivisible.
But according to modern atomic theory, atoms are divisible
It
and
is divisible.
contain subatomic particles. So it's very important you have to learn the name of the scientist. I believe most of you already have learned in your 8th standard. Electron has been discovered by J.J. Thomson, proton by Goldstein, neutron by Chadwick, and nucleus was discovered by
Chadwick.
James
Rutherford.
Rutherford.
So we have also discussed what are the experiments through which these scientists has discovered the subatomic particles. So we have discussed that electron was discovered by J.J. Thomson through cathode rays experiment. Who discovered cathode rays? Cathode rays?
William, Crook.
Crookes. Very good. The scientist Crookes, he discovered cathode rays. Using those cathode rays experiment, J.J. Thomson has discovered electrons. Okay. And we have also discussed Goldstein has discovered protons using anode ray. He has illuminated on the cathode, and when he passed a gas at low temperature, at very low temperature, he is able to observe that some positively charged ions, or the positively charged particles, not ions, sorry, positively charged particles are moving from anode towards cathode.
Cathode.
He named those anode rays. Please keep it in mute. He named those anode rays, the rays which are originated from anode, as protons. Okay. Next, we have also, see, this is how we can see that when any gas is allowed to pass in the glass tube at very low temperature, we can see the two terminals, that is positively charged terminal called as anode and negatively charged terminal called as cathode. So from anode, some rays, some particles are going towards cathode, and from cathode, some particles.
Ma'am, there is lot of disturbance.
Yes, please keep it mute. Okay. So some.
Ma'am, can you explain?
Yes.
What have you explained?
Yes. So when a gas is allowed to pass in this glass tube at very low pressure, we can see that some particles, some positively charged particles are originating at anode and they're going towards cathode, that is the negative pole. That means these particles are positively charged particles going towards the negative terminal. And there are some particles which are negatively charged from cathode.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking in between.
Okay. Some particles are originated from the negatively charged cathode and they're going towards positively charged anode. So they have named these positively charged particles at protons and negatively charged particles at electrons. After this, we have also discussed Chadwick has discovered neutrons. Okay. Now, so when we compare these three subatomic particles, protons and neutrons contribute to the mass of an atom. Whereas if you see the mass of electron, it is very negligible. 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 mass per kg. Okay, so the mass of electron is negligible. So if they ask you the question, the mass of an atom is due to, so what is the answer? The mass of an atom is due to mass of
Protons
proton,
Protons and neutrons.
yes, mass of proton and mass of neutron. That is the reason we call mass number as proton plus neutron, if you remember, right? Okay, and
Yes, ma'am.
the charge, neutrons are neutral. Neutrons are neutral in charge, whereas protons carry positive charge and equal amount of negative charge is been carried by electrons. So always in an atom, there will be equal number of electrons and protons. Next, coming to the Rutherford atomic model. I told you as Rutherford has discovered nucleus. So what is the basis? Through what experiment he has discovered nucleus? The experiment is, as you all know, it is Goldfoil's experiment. So when he made the alpha particles means helium nucleus. Remember, what does nucleus contain? The nucleus of an atom, what does it contain?
Protons and neutrons.
Protons and
Protons and neutrons.
Right. We know that neutrons are neutral, whereas protons are positive charge. So when he allowed to pass helium nucleus, do you agree that only the protons are there in this? Protons and neutrons are there, right? So protons only contain positive charge. So these particles, the charge of these rays will be positive rays. Is it clear? So the charge of these rays will be positive. Why? Because these rays contain protons and neutrons, in which only protons are positively charged. Right. So when these rays are allowed to pass through an atom, and sorry, he has allowed these particles to strike the gold foil. He allowed the particles to the ray pass through the gold foil, and he has kept this blue color thing is a illuminating substance. That
Zinc.
yes, zinc, which glows and we can see the rays. Okay, so when these particles are allowed to pass the gold foil, it is clearly observed that most of the particles, most of the rays has passed through this gold foil. They have passed through this gold foil. Some they have deviated from the center, whereas only a few,
Small.
yes, only a few rays, that means only one ray, it got deflected back. Okay, so that is this ray, it completely got deflected back. So we know that like charges repel each other. So Rutherford concluded that in an atom, the positive charge is present at the center. That is the reason the rays which went through the center, it could not pass, but it got completely deflected. Okay, so he has concluded that the nucleus in the atom is present at the center and electrons are around the nucleus. Now, the very important point of this Rutherford's atomic model is he gave an he just he concluded that nucleus is present at the center and electrons are revolving round the nucleus. He did not say electrons are revolving in any particular path or any particular orbit. He just told electrons are revolving round the nucleus without any orbit. Rutherford did not give the concept of orbits. He just gave the concept of only nucleus. He said electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Okay, so there is one big drawback for Rutherford's atomic model, that, as you all know, due to according to kinetic theory, we have also discussed this in your 8th class. According to kinetic theory, if a particle is in continuous motion, if a particle is continuously moving around, what happens after some time? What happens after some time?
It loses its energy.
Very good. It loses its energy. So once it loses its energy, do you agree that it will collapse?
Yes, ma'am.
So according to Rutherford's atomic model, if the electron is revolving round the nucleus continuously, after a particular time, it will loses its energy and it has to collapse into the nucleus. That means the atom has to get destroyed. When the electrons got collapsed into nucleus, the atom will, there is no existence for the spherical shape of atom, right? So that is the major drawback. But are the electrons destroying after some time? Are the electrons collapsing after some time? No, the atom is stable, okay, with a spherical shape. So this is the main drawback of Rutherford's atomic model. So I repeat, according to Rutherford's atomic model, if electron is continuously revolving around the nucleus, according to kinetic theory, after some time, it has to lose its energy and it has to collapse, which is not happening. Why is it not collapsing? The reason and the explanation for this is given by Bohr, the scientist Bohr, which is called as Bohr's atomic model. He said that nucleus is at the center and electrons are revolving around the nucleus, but they are not revolving as they like. They are revolving in particular shells, in particular energy levels. So those energy levels are called as orbits or shells. So as long as the electron remains in this energy level, or as long as the electron is revolving in this energy level, it does not loses its energy. Is it clear? So this is the conclusion which he has given. This is a modified thing which was given from the Rutherford. Rutherford told it just revolves around the nucleus. He could not give the reason why is it not collapsing. Okay, so Bohr gave the reason why the electrons are not collapsing even if they are revolving continuously. Why are they not losing their energy? Got it? What is the
Borbari rule.
Ma'am,
yes?
ma'am, can you just for 1 minute go to the previous slide?
Okay. Why, any doubt?
No, ma'am, I just wanted to read the last point.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So what did Bohr explain? Electrons are revolving around the nucleus and they are revolving in particular energy levels which are called as orbits. As long as the electron remain in that energy level, it neither gains energy nor loses energy. That is the reason electrons are not collapsing. Okay, and you all know this concept. So this each energy level,
Borbari rule.
yes, each energy level is called as orbit or shell. And from the nucleus we will number just going outside, not from outside to inside. Okay, so the number will be given the first orbit, which is just around the nucleus. It is given as the first orbit. We will represent the orbit number with n. If n is equal to 1, what does it mean? First orbit. If n is 2, what does it mean? It is a second orbit away from the nucleus. If n is equal to 3, that is the third orbit. Okay, so as of now, till how many elements are there? Till now, how many elements were discovered or invented?
118.
Yes, till now 118 elements are there. And all those elements, when they observe the number of shells, till now 7 shells are there. Maximum in an atom, 7 shells. That is the reason in periodic table there will be 7 periods. Okay, so n is 1, it is the first orbit. If n is 2, it is a second orbit. If n is 3, that is the third orbit. So each energy level or each orbit can accompany only certain number of electrons. So what is the maximum number of electrons in which each
2.
orbit can accommodate? That is given by the rule
2n square.
We all know that rule, right? What is n here? N is the orbit number, right? So all of you note down Bohr's atomic model. Bohr's atomic model. Bohr's atomic model. And please write down. Nucleus is present at the center. Nucleus is present at the center. And electrons are revolving. And electrons are revolving in particular energy levels. In particular
Nucleus is, ma'am, nucleus is present
at the center. At the center. And
at the center.
And electrons are revolving round the. And electrons are revolving round the nucleus. Round the nucleus in particular energy levels. In particular energy levels called orbits or shells. Called orbits or shells.
I mean particular energy level.
Yes, particular energy levels called orbits or shells. Orbit or shells. Next line. Each orbit is represented as n. Each orbit is represented as n. N is equal to 1, that is first shell or first orbit. N is equal to 2, second orbit. Okay, next line. The maximum number of electrons, maximum number of electrons that can be present, maximum number of electrons that can be present in an orbit, is given by the rule 2n square, 2 into n square, 2 into n square. Right? So using this rule, you can say if they ask you how many electrons are present in the third shell, maximum how many electrons can be present in the third shell?
18.
Yes, 2 into 3 square, 2 into 9, that will be 18 electrons. Got it? Since
yes, ma'am,
these energy levels, since there is a particular number of electrons which an orbit can accommodate, that is the reason we are able to write the electronic configuration. Suppose if lithium atomic number is 3. Okay, atomic number is nothing but number of electrons and number of protons, right? Why are we not just writing 3?
yes, ma'am,
We are arranging the electrons, 2 in the first shell and 1 in the second shell. That is the reason we are writing 2, 1. Because first shell can maximum accommodate how many electrons? 2 electrons. Did you got the concept? Okay. So this is the electrons per shell. And from third shell, please try to understand. Third shell can accommodate 18 electrons. Right? For example, if there is potassium atomic number is 19, right? So can we write it as 2, 8, 9? Because third shell
No.
can accommodate,
2881.
yes, third shell can accommodate 18 electrons. So why can't we write all the 9 electrons together? We can write, if the atomic number of electrons are 19, we can just write
Ma'am,
2, 8, 9.
we cannot write because the addition of whole 2 plus 8 plus 9 is more than 18.
Hmm?
Ma'am, we cannot write 9 in the third shell
Yes. Tell.
because the addition of all three. Because the addition of all three is more than 18.
More than 8.
Ma'am, there is 2881 as electronic configuration as it will be more stable for the atom.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am, stable.
Yes. The reason is that, always remember, if having 8 electrons together gives stability to the atom. That is the reason 8 electrons will be together and the 9th electron will go to the next shell. Okay. Now, after this, see, as I have represented like this, this is called as electron dot structures, which is the new thing which you learn in your 9th standard. Till the Bohr's atomic model, you have already learned in your 8th standard, right? Now, based upon the, till now you know only how to write the electronic configuration. Suppose if I ask for oxygen, you will write it as 2 and 6, right? Now, so you learn how to draw the electron dot structures. That is a new concept for you. Please write down electron dot structures. Electron dot structures. Put the heading electron dot structures. This you will have in your 9th standard and also in your 10th standard. You have to draw these structures. Electron dot structures. Okay. Representation of electrons. Representation of electrons in different orbits. Representation of electrons in different orbits. Representation of electrons in different orbits. That is called as electron dot structures. So please listen here. They will ask you to draw electron dot structure for oxygen atom. Okay. So first you have to draw a circle, and inside the circle you have to draw it as oxygen. Oxygen atomic number is 8. No need to draw this nucleus part. Just you have to keep a circle and you have to just write oxygen. Okay. And around that, first you have to take oxygen atom. Atomic number is 8. What will be electronic configuration? 2, 6, right? So 2, 6 means from that you can understand that there are 2 shells, 2 orbits. 2 electrons in first orbit, 6 electrons in the second orbit. So you have to draw 2 circles. Okay. For example, sodium atomic number is 11. If atomic number is 11, electronic configuration will be 2, 8, 1. So you have to draw 3 circles around that. That is your drawing.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am,
Yes. Yes, Taushik.
ma'am, for example, in oxygen, we use only the first 2 orbits. So
Yes.
we will not draw the third orbit.
Third orbit, no. You have to just draw the number of orbits based upon the electronic configuration which you write. Okay. So
Okay,
write down
ma'am.
the first point. Okay. Write down. Draw number of orbits. Draw number of orbits around the nucleus. I'm giving you the steps how to draw electron dot structures. Draw number of orbits around the nucleus based on electronic configuration. Based on electronic configuration. Draw number of orbits around the nucleus based on electronic configuration. Next point. Fill the electrons. Fill the electrons. Fill the electrons as small dots. Fill the electrons as small dots in these orbits. Fill the electrons as small dots in these orbits based on electronic configuration. Fill the electrons as small dots in these orbits. Got it? Did you understand? It is
Yes, ma'am.
simple concept of drawing electron dot structures. So for example, if they ask you for oxygen, that is, yes,
Ma'am, could you repeat the first point?
first point, draw number of orbits around the nucleus. Draw number of orbits around the nucleus based on electronic configuration. Based on electronic configuration.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So now, first, if they gave you the atom, you have to write atomic number and electronic configuration. That is the reason in the last class I told you to write the electronic configuration. If you have any doubt, you can just practice. That's why. Did you all write that? Electronic configurations?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Only if you write electronic configurations, then only you can draw electron dot structures. So for example, if it is oxygen, oxygen atomic number is 8. So electronic, good. Electronic configuration will be 2, 6, right? So 2, 6, that means 2 shells are there around the nucleus. So draw a small circle at the center and write O, that is oxygen symbol in that. And around that, how many shells we are supposed to write? How many shells we are supposed to draw? 2 shells. As circles, we have to draw 2 shells. And in first shell, how many electrons we are supposed to keep? In the first shell, how many electrons we are supposed to fill? 2 electrons. Please, yes, please observe the diagram here. In the first shell, 2 electrons we have to draw. We must draw them away from each other. Like this on the opposite side. We have to draw the 2 electrons in the first shell in opposite side. Please observe the diagram. Got it? Whereas in the second
Yes,
shell,
ma'am.
from the second shell, second, third, fourth, we can write 2 electrons as a pair. We should write 2 electrons as a pair.
Pair.
So can you draw for oxygen?
Done.
Good. Did you draw?
Done, ma'am.
Yes. So in the first, yes, good. Keep the circle more clearly. Okay. So in the first shell, there will be 2
Okay, ma'am.
electrons. And in the second shell, second circle, there will be how many electrons? 6 electrons. There will be 3 pairs, right? Now, draw for sodium. Sodium, electron dot structure of sodium. Please draw electron dot structure of sodium now. Atomic number of sodium is
11.
11.
So Girija, what will be electronic configuration? If atomic number is 11, what will be electronic configuration?
2, 8, 1.
Very good. 2, 8, 1. So Mehak, how many circles you should draw around the nucleus? How many orbits you will draw around the nucleus? 3. Good. Yes, Samiksha, are you able to draw?
Done,
Done, ma'am.
Good.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Next. Draw for potassium. Potassium.
Calcium.
Potassium.
Ma'am, do we have to rejoin after the session over?
No need to rejoin. Draw for potassium,
Done, ma'am.
right? Then draw for neon. 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 What is the atomic number of neon?
10.
28.
10. Yes. Electronic.
10 is the atomic
Done,
number.
ma'am.
Is the configuration.
Got it?
28, ma'am.
Yes. The last one, draw for magnesium. Magnesium.
Done, ma'am.
Done?
Done, ma'am.
Yes. Please check your answers.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
we all know that the last electron is called as valence shell or valence orbit.
Electron.
Last orbit is called as valence orbit, and the second last orbit is called as penultimate shell. The last shell is valence shell, the second last is penultimate shell, and the third last shell will be called as anti-penultimate shell. I repeat, the last shell is valence shell, the second last penultimate shell, and the third last will be anti-penultimate shell. Clear? Now, if
Ma'am,
you,
2 minutes.
Ma'am?
yes,
Ma'am, do we also have to write the number of protons and neutrons?
no need to write here like that. You can just keep oxygen.
Ma'am,
Okay, ma'am.
ma'am, what is third last called?
Anti-penultimate shell, ANTI hyphen penultimate, anti-penultimate shell. Is it clear for magnesium, oxygen, potassium? Right? Now, coming to noble gases. I told you to draw for neon. Okay. So in neon, we can see that second shell
Yes, ma'am.
is having 8 electrons. And in the same way, the next noble gas is argon, 18 electrons. So 2, 8, 8. The third shell will be having 8 electrons. Krypton. Krypton is having 4 shells, 2, 8, 8, 8. Okay, so the last one is having 8 electrons. If you observe like this, in all the noble gases, the valence shell is having 8 electrons. So having 8 electrons in the valence shell, not the second or nothing. The valence shell, if there are 8 electrons, it is called as octet configuration. Please keep in mute. Please keep in mute. Who is that, please?
Ma'am, some background music is coming.
Yes, yes. Please keep it in mute, all of you. Uttirna, keep it in mute. Okay. So having 8 electrons in the valence shell is called as octet rule. Yes, someone, Galaxy on 8. Who is that? Raise your hand. Yes, any doubt? Yes, you raise your hand.
Ma'am, it happened by mistakenly.
Okay, okay. So having 8 electrons in valence shell is called as octet configuration. Okay, and if there are for example, only one atom is there like that, helium. Helium is having only one shell. So that one shell only will be the valence shell. If there are 2 electrons in the valence shell, it is called as duplet configuration. So octet and duplet configurations are stable. So if an atom has 8 electrons in the valence shell, those atoms will be stable. Okay, and remaining all the atoms of any element, they are unstable. Okay, so what are the stable elements in the periodic table? The atoms which are stable, they are the noble gases. Okay, that is, they had attained the stability. So do you agree that other elements also, the atoms of other elements,
Ma'am,
yes,
ma'am, radon is also stable, no?
yes, it is a radioactive element. The one atom of radon is stable. Okay, now you have to understand from this stability concept. If there are 8 electrons, that is, if an atom has octet configuration, then only the atom will be stable. If there are more than 8 electrons, or if there are less than 8 electrons, the atom is unstable. So each and every atom try to attain stability. So what they have to do to attain stability? They should have 8 electrons in their valence shell. So in order to have 8 electrons, understand here, if an atom is having more than 8 electrons, it will lose all the excess electrons. If an atom is having less than 8 electrons, it will try to add electrons to it. It will try to take up electrons from some other atom in order to complete the octet. Did you understand? Okay, so that is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
reason why the atoms are involving in chemical activity. Chemical activity means why are they combining with other atoms? For example, if we see here sodium atom, it is having electronic configuration 281. So apart from octet, it is having one excess electron. So it always, sodium atom always tend to lose electron, and it always wants to be in the form of sodium ion, Na plus ion. Why? If it is in the form of Na plus ion, it is having stable octet configuration. Okay, so tell me, Na plus ion is stable or sodium is stable?
Na plus
A plus.
ion.
Plus iron.
So sodium always try to lose that one electron and exist as Na plus ion. In the same way, chlorine also. Chlorine is having 7 electrons. So always it's try to accept one electron and remain as chloride ion. Got it? So that is the reason